Here's the thing that people don't tell you when you start a business. Growing your company isn't actually the hard part. Leading people is. Clients, you can manage. Strategy, you can create. But building a team that thinks for themselves, takes ownership, communicates well, and stays aligned with your vision, well, that's a whole new ballgame. And the truth is, most entrepreneurs avoid it as long as they can because they're afraid of hiring the wrong people, training the wrong way, or just losing control of their business. That's why today I'm going to be lifting the curtain on how we actually build and lead our team here at Next Step Social, the wins, the mistakes, and the systems that keep us all sane. Welcome to Rocky Mountain Marketing. I'm your host, Katie Brinkley. Join us as we dive deep with the world's leading digital marketing experts every single Tuesday. It's all about giving you the strategies that are working right now, directly from those who are making an impact. With my 20 years of experience, I'm here to help you navigate the world of digital marketing. Whether you're looking to sharpen your skills or transform your business, you're in the right place. Let's get started on today's journey to success. Welcome back to this week's episode of Rocky Mountain Marketing. Today, I'm joined by someone you've heard me talk about a million times, our COO, Shawn Quintero. And if you're newer to the show, Shawn is the operational brain behind Next Step Social. He's the person who can take my 20 or 200 ideas, identify the two that actually matter, build the system, and then put the right people in place to actually make it happen. He is the calm in the chaos and the structure behind the strategy, and honestly, the reason that our team functions as well as it does. And today we're going to be talking exactly how we built that team. So, Shawn, thank you for joining me once again on Rocky Mountain Marketing.
Katie, thank you for having me.
You know, I love these conversations with you because it's showing the true side, the authentic side of Next Step Social. And I remember when I started Rocky Mountain Marketing, this podcast was so that I could learn from people who were 5, 10 steps ahead of me in the entrepreneur journey. And it's really exciting to be at a point now where I have a COO, we can talk about what we're doing. And I hope that these episodes are going to help others that are maybe a couple steps behind us with their journey, because it's, collaboration over competition. And I think that one of my biggest mistakes, Shawn, was waiting too long to hire. I waited 4 years before I hired Rassi, and she's still with us today. But I think that that's one of the common problems is so many people wait too long to hire. Why do you think that that is?
Yeah, I think a lot of people hire to be able to delegate a task, right? I don't want to answer emails anymore. I'm going to hire a VA to do that. I don't want to edit this content anymore. I'm going to hire a marketing company to do that. So you are delegating tasks, but what you don't realize is you're also giving yourself another new task, which is of managing that person. And so a lot of times people think I'm going to be very hands off on my next hire. But the truth is, unless you have a really good system to onboard, train, keep them accountable, make sure that they are functioning at a high performing level, then you're going to continue to micromanage. You're going to continue to get in the weeds. You're going to say to yourself, it'll be easier if I just do it myself. And what's going to happen is you're going to think, why am I even paying this person if I'm doing it already or anyways? And what happens is you become a bottleneck. And so you never get past that managing position and into the true ownership position of, hey, I have a company that runs independent of me being involved, because you're still so involved in the peopling of it.
Yeah, and I think that, like I said, I want to pull back the curtain on Next Step Social. And you've been with us now as COO, and you are one of the owners here at the company. And I want people to understand that when you first came in, there were things that needed to be fixed. Like, what did you notice right away about how the team was being run?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty standard across the board. Whenever a business begins to grow, they hire people and they don't have those systems in place. And so what I immediately realized we needed to fix was having those systems, having scorecards, clear KPIs, having a clear job descriptions, roles and responsibilities clearly laid out. So people knew exactly what their job was and could win at those positions. If people don't know what a win looks like, then they never know how to get there. The other thing was you, Katie, being in the weeds so much. One of the things that, I've said this in previous podcasts, but one of my favorite things to do is say, Katie, you're fired from this job. You're not doing this anymore. Get out. This is a weed. You're pulling the weed. Stop getting your hands dirty. Go make sales. Go get strategic partnerships. Go do what a CEO is intended to do. And so really being able to take all of your brilliance and systematizing it so that somebody else could do it in the way that you want it done, in the standard that our company has a reputation for, that was something that we had to begin to incorporate. And here's what happens is oftentimes with business is it's very rational. It's very linear. It's very logical, right? You have deadlines. You build repeatability. You build systems. You create SOPs. But managing people is a very different skill set because people are not rational systems. They are emotional creatures. There are feelings involved, insecurities involved, desires that they have, fears, ego, stress, bad habits, good habits, comfort. Like there's all these other soft skills that you need to bring to the table when you're managing people. You're like, well, I created the SOP. Why aren't they doing it? And it's because it's not a rational reason. It's an emotional reason or even an irrational reason. And so being able to bring a lot of those soft skills to say, hey, let's work with this person to recognize what really lights them up, what drives them to do a good job, what kind of culture can we create that allows people to step into high performing states of mind. Those are the things that we begin to implement. And we have a pretty great team now. We have a good core group of incredibly passionate, authoritative experts on our team that do really good work. And what had to happen in order for that to happen oftentimes also is we've had to make really difficult decisions. We've had to make decisions to release people to the marketplace of job opportunities and either terminate agreements or terminate contracts and bring in fresh faces, new talent. And that has nothing to do with whether or not the person is a good person. It has everything to do with whether or not they're the right person for this seat that we need as a business. And so being able to make some of those difficult decisions. I think it was Ben Horowitz who once wrote a book called The Hard Things About Hard Things, and it's all about the hard things in business. And the basic principle of the book is the hard things about hard things is they're hard. They're difficult. Like you have to make really difficult decisions, but it's those decisions that like there's someone listening who knows there's someone on their staff, someone on their team that's just not working out. But you've kept them for too long. You've kept them because you really want to believe in the potential and not the performance. And this is a little bit of a signal to you that you have to make that difficult decision. Because what we saw is once we began to release the C and B players, our A players began to rise up. We created space to hire new A players. We could create a culture where A was the standard and we didn't have to break bad habits or retrain people. And so here's your kind of signal. Go be the CEO and business owner. Go make the difficult decision and go bring in incredible people into your team. And I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about how to do that. But like, you're the business owner. It's your job to protect the asset you're building, which is the business, and the people in it who do the best job, who do a great job. So go be the business owner, go make those tough decisions. And if you're listening and you're like, I have a great team and I'm ready to grow and scale and hire even more, we can talk about that too.
Yeah, well, and I think that, we've both read the book Traction. We run on the EOS model, and that was one of the things that really stood out to me was having the right people in the right seat, and because it was something that I had never really thought about in that way. Like you said, we have had some turnover in 2025 within our company of who we want to have on and who has decided to explore new opportunities. So when we hire, that was one of the things that I learned from you was when we hire, taking our time and finding that right person that's going to fit into the culture. So, I mean, when you're looking at that hire, what are some of the top things that you look for that matter more than, let's say, skill?
Yeah. So skill is really important. And actually glad you bring this up because a lot of people have heard the term hire for character and, you can kind of ignore the skill set. You can develop skill set. You can train people on skill set. The truth of that statement is it costs a lot of money to train people on a skill set if they don't have it already. So if you have the budget and you want to train someone, you have even the timeline to be able to train someone, the bandwidth to train someone, then awesome. Hire for character, ignore the skill. But what we really look for is they have to be able to do a really good job. We want to bring in people who have the skill set. Maybe they don't do things exactly how we do things, so we can adjust, but there's skill to leverage and play with. That's number one. And then character absolutely and culture fit absolutely has to matter. Some of the things to recognize though is before we even go into the idea of is this the right person, we have to identify who the right person would be. And so what we do is very similarly to creating a ideal client avatar, we create an ideal employee or staff or contractor avatar. What is the demographics of this person? What is the psychographics of this person? What do they believe when it comes to the work that they do? Is this someone who went to college to get a graphics degree because that's just kind of what they wanted to do and they didn't have another better idea, so might as well do that? Or is this someone who has been painting since they were 3 years old, who has been really involved and invested in their craft, who see graphic design not as a job to do, but as an art and a science that they want to continue to get better? And document that. What do they believe when it comes to teamwork? Are they individual, like I can do it all on my own? Are they team players? Are they hybrids somewhere in the middle of that? How do they deal with conflict? Do they have natural conflict resolution skills, or are they avoidance? Are they going to freeze up? Are they going to just kind of ignore all of their responsibilities when conflict arises? And so making sure you are very clear about who is that ideal candidate that you want to bring in, not just that they can do tasks, but also those psychographics. What do they believe? What are their values when it comes to this? And do those values match your companies? Do they match the department they're going to join? Do they match the culture? That is how we kind of begin to craft the idea of who is this right person. After that, then we want to get into the tasks. We want to say, okay, they have to be able to do, they have to be able to be familiar with this software, or they have to be familiar with this type of content creation or this type of documentation. They have to be familiar with this project management framework. Then you can get a little bit more specific into like the skill sets and tasks. But laying out that ideal contractor, employee, staff member avatar, super key.
Yeah, and I think that there's been so many people of having that avatar and knowing what you're looking for. It makes it a lot easier and for someone to stand out when you're looking at so many different qualified people. I want to talk about culture because I do think that that's really important for a lot of businesses that are starting to make these hires is building the right culture around their business, because when you started the business, it was most likely just you. So how do you know if someone is going to fit our culture?
Yeah. So when you begin to identify culture, you want to ask the first question I start with is what are the things I'm already celebrating either in myself or in another existing team member? I'm celebrating, oh, they're meeting deadlines, but not just meeting deadlines. They're like 2 weeks ahead. I'm celebrating the fact that they're taking initiative and bringing new softwares to my attention, new AI platforms. They're, bringing new frameworks and methods to get visibility for our clients. I'm celebrating that. I'm celebrating the fact that they're making decisions, trying it out, seeing if it works without even my input. They're kind of a decision making person who can then come to me and say, hey, here's the problem I was facing. Here are the 3 ways I try to solve it. I still can't solve it. So that's why I'm bringing it to you because I need your help to solve this. And they're not just bringing, I don't know what to do. Here's my problem. Okay, let's think about it. So ask yourself, what are you celebrating? And then what do you get giddy by? Like, what are the messages you get or the behaviors you see that you're like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And one way to do this is to ask, is there someone on your team that if you could clone them, you would clone them 10 times over, 5 times over. And we have several members on our team that I would do that with. And I can think of very specifically, okay, great. They remember details. Me personally, I'm detail challenged. And so I have a lot of systems in place to help me with that, but that's not a natural gift I bring to the table. We have some team members, they will remember what I said 3 weeks ago and what the client needed like 2 days later. And like they will remember all those details. So they have that natural gift. Great. Memory is recollection, detail recollection is a gift that I want to celebrate. I'm going to bring to the ideal client, kind of document and identify that as our culture. So those are some of the things that we want to kind of focus in on is what are we celebrating? What are we getting giddy on? And what do we want to see repeated with this hire?
One thing that I learned with bringing on new team members this year and kind of putting some team members into different seats, different roles, I learned that for the most part, most people don't just figure it out after you hire them. They need a real onboarding system. So what does that actually look like?
Yeah. So as we're onboarding new team members, we want to make sure that we have what I call the first 7 weeks laid out. Now, you don't have to be super detailed about this, but you do want to be very, very, very clear. What does the first week look like? What are we training them on? What are the platforms they need access to? What are the SOPs they need access to? What are the documentation, the workflows, etc.? Who are the team members they need to be introduced to? And how can we give them an experience in that first week? Very similar to a client. How can we give clients quick wins, make them feel excited that they made the decision to work with us? Same thing with an employee or a staff member. How can we make them so confident in their decision to choose to work with us? Because while we are hiring them, they're also making a decision to either take our offer or continue looking for a different offer. So we want to make sure that we re-emphasize and confirm this was a good decision. And so while we're getting them on platforms and doing all the logistical stuff, we also want to create an experience for them. So one of the things I personally do is I have them fill out a personality profile, and that simply tells me what do they love, what kind of drinks do they like, what do they do when they're having fun with their partner or with their family. If they're single, without a family, what do they like to do with their friends or by themselves? What are some of the things that they get really excited by? And then we try to incorporate that within the first week just to remind them we care about you as a human and as a
Hmm.
person on top of the work that you can do for us. I do a check-in with them. Their supervisor does a check-in. That first week is really crafted. Then the second week, the third week, the fourth week, typically we're doing extended training sessions. And what those are is, okay, let's train you on this specific platform. And the way we train is I'm going to teach you how to do it by doing it in front of you. I'm going to edit this podcast as an example. You're going to watch me do it. I'm going to talk through it, but I'm going to watch me do it. Second time, I'm going to edit it, but I'm going to ask you questions. So I'm doing the behavior, but I'm asking you questions on what do I do next? Okay, I did this. New staff member, what do I do next? Great. Okay, yes, that is the right way because I want to make sure they understand the flow of action. The third thing is they do it, but I'm telling them what to do. So they're doing it, and I say, okay, do this next, do this next, do this next. Great. And then the final action is they do it without me saying anything, watching. And typically by that point, throughout the whole thing, we're following an SOP, we're following a document, a workflow, etc. But I want to make sure that they can do it on their own before I release them.
Well, I was going to say, Shawn, I want the listeners to know because they might be, someone right now might be saying, well, this sounds really micromanaging. So how do we set expectations without overwhelming people and without seeming like we're micromanaging them and that they're doing the job within the system without, like having us look over their shoulder constantly?
Yeah, and that's why there's like that gradual letting go of kind of that micromanaging position. Think about it as like a kid when, I have a 3-year-old daughter. At this age, it's pretty amazing because I can sit her down to eat cereal in the morning, turn my back and go make her lunch, right? I can hear her, I can still have like an eye on her, but I don't have to be constantly watching her. Like when she was a newborn, and she was on the bed and she could just roll off the bed at like, okay, cool. This is just what you do, I guess, where I have to be constantly watching her and monitoring her. And did she throw up? Does she need to be burped? That she has a 10-minute nap now. I can like finally rest. I wouldn't call what I'm doing with a baby micromanaging as much as I'm helping them develop into the person I want them to be or into the staff member I want them to be. So it's a gradual letting go of kind of that or creating that independence. What a big mistake is hiring someone and then just saying, okay, go do the job. Because what's going to happen is they're going to bring all of their bad behaviors from past experiences, past job places. They're going to bring all of the processes that they knew in a past job or that they build themselves. Or if they have none of that, they're going to kind of make it up as they go. And what's going to happen is it's going to be really messy. If they call off sick or if you end up making a decision to terminate them or for whatever reason they go off to do another thing, now you're kind of SOL'd because I don't know what the process was. I don't know what happened. So making sure you have those documentations and you are reminding people this is how we do it in our business. In the first 7 weeks, they are the most impressionable. After the 7 weeks, what I've found is that the bad habits that they've had before, if you don't fix them right away, it's gonna continue long after, and it's gonna be much
Yeah.
harder to correct later.
So what is your approach when that happens? When a team member isn't meeting expectations? So you've put everything in place for them to have success. So what do you do when someone is not, you know,
Not
hitting the
performing.
mark? Yeah.
Yeah, so the first thing that we do is we make sure that they're okay. I've seen high performers who do a really good job, and then 1 month there's a month within their work schedule that things dip, and so I just have a human conversation. "Hey, I wanna have a conversation. I've noticed you typically do a really good job, and this month it's kind of been off. We've seen a lot more revision requests go your way. We've seen, the quality of your work really decrease. What's going on?" And that's it. It's what's going on, what's happening. I have had conversations where they say, "You know what? I just lost a family member, and honestly, that's where my mind is right now." Or, "Hey, I just had a breakup," or, "I'm really stressed about this test that I'm taking for this exam because they're in school," or, there's a real personal life issue happening. And so that's an opportunity to say, "Hey, I care about you as a human. Man, that's really rough. What support do you need right now?" Right? Because then at that point, like, let's say they lost a family member and they need some time off and they just haven't told us. Go take some time off. Go have some mental health days. Go be with family. Go do what you need to do. We'll come in and support you. The loyalty they're gonna feel to our company when they come back, knowing we cared about their human experience, their life outside of work is immense, enormous. So, just be human, like, be a real human being connecting with another human being, and that's the first step. Maybe they're like I've also seen it where like, "Oh, I didn't realize it." And maybe they didn't. Maybe they're just so in routine, they didn't realize it. So, okay, great. I'm glad I was able to bring this to your attention. What's the plan to improve this for next month, next week? And how will we know you've improved it? Okay, great. The KPI we're going to be tracking for you is how many revisions get resent your way.
Mhm.
How many times you have to ask for this, or how well this is graded, making sure that your grade is higher on a graphic score or whatever. So we then kind of build a plan that they create. I want them to own the plan. What are we gonna do to fix this for next month then, or for next week? And then let's say they continue to make that same mistake. That's when, the conversation becomes a little bit more, I want to say more firm, in the sense of like, "Hey, I'm noticing this is a trend. If this continues, then that's going to lead to a place I don't think either of us want. How can we permanently fix this? What system do we need in place?" And I always start from a systems place first, because I'm not really concerned about the person making the mistake. I'm concerned about the system that allowed the person to make the mistake. Do we need to have another quality control check-in at some point? Do we need to have another meeting at some point? Do we need to give them a checklist that they can follow, because it's not set up in a way where like they're doing it all from memory and not just, "Oh, okay, this is the checklist every single time I do something, it's based off of this checklist." And so like, okay, what systems, what support, what resources do we need to provide you to stop this trend? And then if it continues happening, then we have to have a deeper conversation where it's a matter of, okay, is this the right person who, like, we really like them, we really want them on a part of our team, but for some reason this task isn't their it's just not in their strength. So can we delegate that specific task and, replace that with a different task? Or is this someone that we know, hey, it's just not a good fit? We like them as a person, but we need this job done and they're not the right person for the job. So we need to go find either another job for them, or we need to find someone else to do that job. That's kind of the spectrum of attempts we would take with someone making mistakes.
Well, I think that that's where having the culture around your company is really, really important, because if you build a good culture, people want to stick around. I mean, everyone at Next Step Social is remote. I'm in Denver, you're in California, Jennifer's in Louisiana, Waves and I mean, like, we're everywhere. And I think that it can be difficult to build that sort of culture where people feel like they're not like they're excited to come to work. They're not just checking a box, because that's where you see people start to fade out and like kind of the mistakes start happening. And I want to talk about the importance of building that culture, because ours didn't happen by accident. So, how would you describe the culture that we've built here at Next Step Social?
Yeah, it's really interesting when you have a virtual team. How do you build kind of that cooler culture? How do you can't put posters on the wall because there are no walls, So like you can't have in-person team building experiences. So kind of have to get a little bit creative. With high performance, we want to be able to celebrate what is going right. And so what we do is we try to showcase, hey, this was the best thing that Jennifer did this month. Good job, Jennifer. Let's keep up the good work. This is the best work that Vic did. Best design that Vic did. Great job. Congratulations. And we want to celebrate. Like, I remember hearing from a mentor of mine years ago, celebrate what you want to see again and again. And so, like, recognize, acknowledge it, celebrate it. If you want to see high performing, output, celebrate it, let it be seen. So we try to do that as often as possible and recognizing this was good work, good job. The other thing we try to do with culture is try to give people experiences. So we actually have a ton of virtual assistants in the Philippines. We send our virtual assistants, if they hit certain key metrics on retreats. So we send them to a retreat where they get training and they get experiences and they get to connect and network and learn from people. And so we have these incentives where if you hit this specific metric, you get to enjoy a full week in like an incredible Hawaii-esque kind of place. It's pretty incredible. We have a daily co-working session. So everybody has to hop on Zoom together and it's silent co-working. What we've discovered is just seeing each other's faces makes us feel more connected to each other versus just a profile like in Slack, just your thumbnail picture. But being able to see people, see their funny faces when they're in deep thinking mode, mostly my face, because I'm like, what is this thing? And I'm like making all these faces. But being able to see people while they're working it kind of breaks down that virtual wall. And then what we've also discovered with those co-working sessions is, Katie, you'll have a question you ask me, and then Jennifer had that same question for like 3 weeks, but for some reason she never asked. So now we can solve not just Katie's question, we can solve Jennifer's question at the same time.
Yeah.
So it speeds up communication and speeds up accelerates our ability to solve for specific problems and challenges.
Yeah, and I've actually really enjoyed doing those silent co-working sessions because exactly like what you said, there's sometimes where it's just, hey, are you still, I'm trying to do this. Can you do it? Can you just check real fast or whatever? And it's so much faster than sending a Slack message and breaking, like taking, it just works great. And just seeing people is amazing. And, I had no idea you did so many voice memos to yourself. Honestly, I always see you kind of talking to your voice memo recorder of like, okay, I need to do this, and this. I think that this is what I want people to walk away with from this episode is hiring. It can seem really scary, but it doesn't have to be. You just need to be strategic with it. Yeah. Onboarding, man, that matters way more than people think. If you don't have a strong onboarding system, like what Shawn laid out in very detailed instructions here for you. So go back and listen to that. Take notes. Great job, Shawn. I think that was one of the things that we really needed to work on at Next Step Social before you came in, because I had all these training videos of, like Loom videos and everything, but really I wasn't making sure that they understood how to actually do it. I just sent them the video and here's your training. So onboarding matters way more than people think. I think that, any founder honestly can start building a team mindset, even if it's just them for now. Like, what do you want to see from your company? What do you want to see from your team? Like, what expectations do you have? And holding yourself accountable to that. Anything else before we wrap up today's episode that you think people should think about while they're kind of launching their team or building their team?
Yeah, just recognize that people are people and people change. Where your system is pretty much you lay the system out, it's not going to change unless you go change it. People grow, people adapt, people are flexible, people change. So recognize that if your rock star is a rock star and then ends up, for some reason is not a rock star for a month or for a week, or for some reason there's something wrong, be human. We are people doing business with other people, and the more human you can be, the better. There are some people who okay, there may be B players. Make a plan. They want to strive and they want to change and they want to grow. Make a plan and show them this is how you be an A player in our team. Creative work, especially for us, can lead to burnout. boredom, overstimulation. It can lead to a lot of stuff. So we try to be as human as possible because that is the foundation for everything we're doing. We want to make sure that their well-being, their ability to show up well, not just for us, but for their husbands and wives and kids and family members and friends and neighborhood and community, that's important for us too. So people are people, lead well, and you'll do a great job.
Well, Shawn, thank you so much for joining me today on Rocky Mountain Marketing. Make sure that you're subscribed to Rocky Mountain Marketing. Share this with a friend that's building their business. Don't miss an episode here. Shawn is going to come back again for another part of this series where we pull back the curtain here at Next Step Social. But Shawn, I can't thank you enough for joining me on Rocky Mountain Marketing today.
Thanks for having me, Katie.
Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode of Rocky Mountain Marketing. I hope you're leaving with valuable insights and the inspiration to lead your market. If you've enjoyed our time together and found today's podcast episode useful, I have a small favor to ask of you. Please hit that subscribe button to stay updated with the latest episodes. And if you know someone who could benefit from these episodes, maybe a fellow business leader or an aspiring entrepreneur, go ahead and share this episode with them. Let's spread the knowledge and grow together. Also, I'd love to hear from you and continue the conversation beyond the podcast. Visit me at katiebrinkley.com to connect, to find more resources, or just to share your journey. And be sure to pick up your copy of my new book, The Social Shift, at katiebrinkley.com/book. Thanks again for tuning in. I'm Katie Brinkley, and I can't wait to dive into more strategies and stories with you on the next episode of Rocky Mountain Marketing. Let's keep on taking your marketing to new heights.